Hey everybody, it's Derek for the Grumpy Guy Show. This is episode number 57. Look at me, I need attention! Recorded on Tuesday, July 19th, 2022. Tonight, talk about conglomeration. Can it be positive and negative at the same time? And rattling the crystal? Plus, as usual, tangents. Stick around, this is a good show. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Grumpy Guy Show. I'm Derek McAllister, and tonight we've got another solo night. Ryan's not feeling so great right now, so he's taking a little rest, and hopefully he'll be back next week. But, gonna warn you, might be a short show. Only got a few topics, and who knows, being by myself, I might go through them pretty quickly. I do want to remind everybody that we do have a Facebook page. It's the Grumpy Guy Show. I'm pretty sure that there's a link on the Anchor public site, but I'll see if I can remember to put a link in the show notes just to make sure that everybody can get to it easy, so that maybe you can comment. I don't know. I expected some comments out of our discussion on gun control, and of course, my comments last week surrounding Roe versus Wade, but at the same time, I guess we've only got one person that's actually consistently watching, and I've said it before, I'm pretty sure it's because his music is on here. But at any rate, even if it isn't him, doesn't matter, we've only got one listener. So, what do you say we transition into the first topic? Yes. Got those transitions back. So to start off with, I want to talk about the baby formula shortage. So everybody knows that there's been, this huge void of baby formula because I don't know all of the reasons. I know the latest reason was something surrounding, there was a major flood at the factory. Okay. So, that's going to bring up my biggest problem going, all right? So, we have this government that's supposed to be about protecting the people. What have they done? Well, they haven't done their job. What they've done is allow these huge companies to get bigger by buying out their competition. So, what does that leave us with? Well, that leaves us with one single vendor that's the only one to be producing anything. So in this case, baby formula. We've got one vendor. That's it. Just one vendor is going to be supplying all baby formula for the entire country. I mean, come on. I know that maybe there's not a huge profit margin in baby formula and everything, but that tells me that there's no competition. And what does no competition mean? Well, that means that you're paying higher prices. Doesn't matter what you're buying, whether you're buying, two brands that I remember from when our kids were small are Similac and Enfamil. Guess what? They're both produced in the same plant by the same company. Why? Well, because the FTC said, yeah, sure, go ahead, consolidate, it's all right. We don't mind. That's not how it's supposed to be. The FTC is supposed to be there to say, no, you can't buy your competition just because you have enough money to do so. That'd be like them saying, oh, well, go ahead, Coke, you buy Pepsi, it's all right. You can't do that. And to have it so that there's just one single plant within this company that's doing all of the production is another thing that's completely and totally ridiculous. One of the things that you hear constantly when it comes to data, whether it's your photos or, your tax returns, any kind of data that you have, they always say, follow the 3-2-1 principle. You have 3 different copies in at least 2 different locations. I can't remember what the one is, but you have this data in multiple places. If everything's in the same place, if everything's stored at your house, and your house catches on fire, you've just lost everything. So yeah, these cloud storage things like Microsoft OneDrive or Apple iDrive or whatever they call it, iCloud or whatever it is, and then there's Dropbox and Google Drive. All of these can be expensive. Don't get me wrong. However, that's a backup that they are backing up following this 3-2-1 method. But on top of that, you have a backup as well. So, for example, my photos. I started using, what is it, iDrive Photo or something like that. It's not owned by Apple, but it's a service. It's 99 cents for the first year for unlimited photo storage, photo and video from your phone. And after that, it's $9.99 per year for that same unlimited photo and video storage from your phone. I've tried uploading stuff from my camera and whatnot. Because I'm running Linux, I think that's my problem is I'm running Linux, and just like everything else, they only do a Windows or a Macintosh. They give you instructions, but it's for Ubuntu Linux, which don't get me started there. Ubuntu is a pig. It's aimed at the crowd that wants to just be, they just want a straight Windows replacement where they don't think about stuff. They just install and go. But honestly, it's the most popular one out there. Well, I shouldn't say it's the most popular one. It's one of the more popular ones as far as support by software companies. So they give you instructions on how to do that. Well, I'm not running that. I'm not even running something that is based on the same vein. And by vein, there's Arch Linux, and then there's Debian. And Ubuntu is based on Debian. I use something based on Arch. And don't get me wrong, there's others out there beyond it. I use Garuda Linux, which is based on Arch, which means the packages that they've created for Ubuntu don't work on my machine. But I'm getting in the weeds here. So at any rate, with data, they say back it up like that. 3-2-1. Have three different versions in two different locations. Why are we allowing these companies that are manufacturing something like 95% of all baby formula to have one factory and one warehouse? That's a red flag. That should have been like, whoa, no, you can't do that. But instead, they've allowed it. And why? Well, probably because somebody got paid. Here's a little money under the table. Don't worry about it. It'll be all right. We're setting ourselves up for complete and total failure if we're going to continue to do stuff like this. The same thing is happening. You see it all the time with chicken. One place gets, they have salmonella going through, and suddenly, not only do you have, like I think one of the last ones was Purdue, not only do you have the Purdue brand suddenly vacant from the shelves, now you have all of their brands that aren't produced by Purdue, I mean, come on. All these store brands are suddenly off the shelves and gone. That happened a few years ago with peanut butter. Jif had a problem with their peanut butter, and then suddenly, Great Value peanut butter is off of all the shelves of Walmart. But if you read the label, it says not produced by Jif, or something along those lines. Well, we're setting ourselves up for complete and total failure here, folks. At what point are we going to say, okay, enough is enough? Enough of the consolidation and conglomerations. Truthfully, if I recall correctly from my days in food service, there's like 5 food service companies. 5 companies in the entire world that own 90% of all brands out there. Yeah, it's insane. And, some of these brands have actually expanded to go well beyond food. You ever heard of Unilever? Yeah, well, Unilever owns Dove. They own Suave. They own the Lever the Lever brand of soaps. They own Lipton. They just bought Tazo. They own, they own so many things. Go through the grocery store. Doesn't matter to me if you're going through, whether you're going through the cosmetics section or not cosmetics, the personal hygiene stuff, or you're going through food. Flip it over and look. There's a very good chance you're going to see the Unilever brand on there. And it's just a real small logo down in the bottom corner. The idea is that you don't see it and you don't notice it. What you notice is like, Stouffer's. Well, Stouffer's isn't made by Stouffer's anymore. Stouffer's was bought out, and I believe they were bought out by Unilever. But if they weren't bought out by Unilever, they were bought out by Nestle. It's utterly ridiculous how big these companies are, and they mass produce things in singular locations. So back to the chicken. I mean, you've got all of these things. They're being produced, and suddenly half of the chicken is no longer usable because of the potential for salmonella. What? Wait a minute. But this isn't made by Purdue. It's nuts. And the fact that the FTC has allowed this shows that they are not doing what they're supposed to do, which is protect consumers. Anyhow. So on to something that I found to be actually kind of funny, to be honest with you. So we were watching TV, and you see that stupid little box cartoon, the box character for Cologuard is on there. And he's doing his little spiel and everything, and it gets to the end of the commercial and says, false and negative positives can occur. False positives and negative results can occur. Wait a minute. Is there an option besides positive or negative? Not that I'm aware of. So basically what you're saying is, okay, there's a chance that this test could be wrong. All right, I get that. But the way that it's stated, it's just like, who's the editor on this? Who decided that this is the right way to say things? I mean, come on. And I get that, the whole thing with Cologuard is it's supposed to be able to get you colon, capture colon cancer early on. I get that, and it's not invasive, which means, no recovery time, no prep. And, the other piece of it is, simply put, folks, if you don't have to go to the doctors, it's saving your insurance company a ton of money. So, of course, insurance companies are really, really going to push this, because if they don't have to pay for an anesthesiologist plus a doctor to actually do the procedure, plus, technicians to run the machines and everything else. I mean, and that doesn't even include the lab work that's involved with anything that they, any potential polyps that they find or whatnot. If the insurance company can avoid doing that, hey, we don't care if it can give you negative results. We don't care if the results can be false. What we care about is we're saving money. But seriously, every single test in the world can give you false positive and negative results. I mean, why does it have to be stated? Or is it that we're so stupid that we can't even think about the fact that, no test is 100%? I mean, it just kills me with all of these, you see stuff like this, and they make a statement like that, and then all I can think about is, a commercial that comes on within 5 minutes is going to say, are you concerned that your cancer wasn't caught soon enough? Do you think it should have been caught sooner? Come on. I get that people need to make money and everything, but You want to know why medical bills are so high? That's why. They've got to have so much money sitting there waiting for when they get sued because they made, because they're humans and they made a mistake. But hey, let's not go with artificial intelligence to look at this stuff. No, 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 no. We don't want to do that. We want to keep humans involved because we don't trust people. Oh, wait a minute. We don't trust people, but we don't want to get computers involved. You see the problem here, folks? It's just a circle. It goes around and around. Well, we don't want artificial intelligence, but we don't want humans because we don't trust artificial intelligence, but we want artificial intelligence because we don't trust humans. Well, make up your mind. The beauty of computers is they don't know. The computer only knows black and white. They're not gonna say, well, maybe this is a false negative or a false positive. No, a computer is going to go through and they're going to check the information, and they're going to read the information the same every single time. Where a human, we make mistakes. We view things differently. We don't tend to think exactly the same every time. For example, with this topic, the false positive and negative results may occur. With that topic right there, I might not even, I have a general idea of what I was thinking at the time, but it might not be the same, it was, to be honest with you, it was a month ago that I added this topic. So what I'm thinking may not be the same as what I was then. Who knows? I don't. So it's just kind of like, but a computer would know exactly what it was thinking. Why? Because it's not actually thinking. It's following an algorithm. So, at any rate. But just remember that. False positives and negatives may occur. And that's the other piece of it. It didn't say or negative. It said false positive and negative. So how can you have both positive and negative at the same time? Those are the only two options. It's either going to give you a positive or it's going to give you a negative. It's not going to give you, it's 50% positive, 50% negative. No. Oh my. All right. So, one more transition. And like I said, probably going to be a short show. Depends on how far I get going on these. On this one. Sorry, not these, because this is it. So just before I started tonight, a motorcycle went by. And, I've stated before, I ride a motorcycle. And it's I really enjoy it and everything. But what I don't enjoy are motorcycles that are so loud that they rattle things in the house as they're driving by. Now, granted, my house is not far off of the road, but we're in a 35 mile per hour zone, so it's not that big a deal. It shouldn't be that loud. But they go by, and we have things in the house rattle because these exhausts. Basically, they're putting a straight pipe on their machine. Number one, first and foremost, folks, that's not good for the machine. That's not how it was designed. Okay. Just saying. Second, what's that doing to your ears? You're out there, you're riding. Maybe you're only riding for 20 minutes. But that's 20 minutes at over 100 decibels. Constant. And it's even worse when you're accelerating. So, what's going to happen? Well, it's the typical thing that we do as Americans. Oh, it's no big deal. I'll just get hearing aids. Okay, well, you tell me how that works out for you. But at any rate, so, that's not what reminded me, but that's why I had to pause for a couple of seconds before I actually started the recording, because he was going by. I could hear him coming. Yeah, I could hear him coming. It's probably a quarter mile away before you get to the turn, and I'm just like, all right, hold on. But so I was headed up to ride off-road on Sunday, and it's a little bit of a drive. It's like an hour and a half drive, but I'm going along, and the drive was made a lot longer because I got behind these three guys on motorcycles, really loud exhaust, could barely hear. I could barely hear my radio because I was going to be outdoors, so I had the windows open. I was not running the air conditioner, but I could barely hear my radio because their exhaust was so loud. But the worst part in the world is they were driving very slow just so that their exhaust was quiet. And then their acceleration from a stop was extremely slow just so that their exhaust wasn't so loud. And all I could think was, okay, so you've spent all the money to get these really loud exhaust pipes, and then you've spent all the money to have your machine tuned so that it can actually run with these really loud exhaust pipes. And now you're driving really, really slow just so that they're not that loud. What's wrong with this picture, folks? It just doesn't seem right. Just seriously. And what kills me is the way the laws are written as far as the decibel measurements is basically if they're below the a certain level at idle, it's good, they pass. But the other thing was when I got mine inspected this year, he pretty much just walked around and looked at it in a few places and then put a new inspection sticker on. I was like, okay. And this was at a dealer, so it's not like I went to some place who, intentionally so that they would do that. I don't like doing that with my vehicles because, I want to know if something's wrong. That's all there is to it. I really, truly want to know if something's wrong. Yeah, maybe it's going to cost me a little bit of money, but I know my vehicle's going to be safe. And I usually try and do a once over so I'm not getting dinged, so I'm not paying $50 for them to take 2 minutes to change a light bulb. Because, they'll do that, or wipers. They'll charge you $30 for a $5 wiper, but at any rate, so I went to a dealer so that I would get a decent inspection, and I was just like, okay, I know the bike's only a year old, but that's it. I could have pushed it into the garage without starting it up, which means it would have, he wouldn't have known anything about the exhaust. Not that I did anything to it. It was a stock exhaust, so I'm just like, really? You gotta be kidding me. But that's how these people get away with these extremely loud exhaust pipes. The decibel limit is like 90 decibels in New York State. And for these bikes to be, they're in the middle of the road, so you're talking, 10 feet away from the side of the road, and then my house is like 15 feet off the road. To go that far, plus go halfway across my 25-foot living room to start rattling something is just insane. And then they'll sit there at a stoplight and they got to keep because the stupid thing won't stay running. Why won't it stay running? Because it's not designed to have an exhaust like that. An exhaust like that is on the machine for one reason and one reason only. Sure, some people say, oh, it saves lives. No. The exhaust like that is on there for one reason, and that is to get attention. An exhaust like that is, to me, is the same as those people who feel they have to put their foot to the floor at every light, because, I got a V8 and listen to that sound. Yeah, okay. Look at me. Hello, I'm over here. I need attention. Look at me. Hey, did you see me? Did you notice me? Huh? Come on, I'm here. I mean, come on. Seriously, people. You know, and if you want to make yourself deaf, I'm fine with that. Go ahead, you know, knock yourself out. Throw on pipes that are just straight, or I don't care, let it come right straight out of the header as far as I'm concerned. For you, not for me. So when you're driving by my house, you're not giving me a choice as to whether or not I want to go deaf. You're saying, ha, I need attention, I don't care if I go deaf, so you're going to go deaf too. It's not right, you know? But at any rate, you know, these three guys cracked me up, and they had no clue where they were going, what they were doing, because I think two of the three, you know, there's this one really sharp, it's a downhill, and then there's a steep uphill and a curve afterwards, and yeah, they got through there, and I swear, two of the three of them almost stalled their machine because they didn't know to shift. I can hear the machines really, really struggling. It was like, you know, if you shift, it's not going to work so hard. But they just kept going. Like, all right, you got a great machine there, dude. You keep on going. Oh, well. All right, folks. So I'm sure you heard the music starting up in the background there. We'll see ya.